Hey everyone, it's me. Serious topic. I'm going to talk about alcoholism and my personal experience with it. Not talking about myself, I'm talking about my father. And I'm just going to dive into it. My dad shared that when he was young, he didn't have an easy childhood. I'm not going to disclose the information, um, but it's something that he never sought help for or treatment. Therapy, etc. And so my dad growing up, well, he was overall a very pleasant person. He was very quiet. When we were growing up, we had a good relationship. He didn't say a whole lot, nor did he really discipline. It's possibly because of his childhood that he didn't really know how. But growing up, my dad was my best friend. This is a picture from 2006, him and I. And then this is a picture from 2004 when I was really, really skinny. And this is how I remember him most. This is in his, when he got a little bit older. And so my dad was my best friend. We were very close as I got older. But when we were young, my dad drank. And I guess at a family party, he was highly inappropriate with some teenage girls, said things that got him into trouble and was jumped at the family party, which led to everyone getting involved. My mom asked him to leave. No, my mom actually took us to my grandparents' home. I remember, I don't know if I was 6, 7, 8 years old in there, and my dad showed up. My grandma took us upstairs. My dad told my mom he would stop drinking, and after that, he did not drink in the house. So fast forward to when I'm 18, no, sorry, when I was 12 years old, my parents got divorced, and then my dad kept it under wraps for the most part. He'd probably drink at the bar and come home, but he had multiple DUIs. Um, but then when I was 18, I joined the military and left, and I went to Al-Anon. In the midst of all of that, I ended up getting married, had 2 daughters, and my sisters would call me in the military and say, Dad is drinking again. He's really sick and he's really skinny. And back then, 1990-ish, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have the internet, so nobody could talk via Zoom, anything like that. And so when my daughters were 3 and 4, maybe 2 and 3, 3 and 4, came home, my dad walked out of his apartment, and this is the state he was in. That's my oldest daughter and my dad. Another picture of him that day. You can see the apartment's really dirty. And so did the intervention. I had him sober for 2 hours. He went into DTs. I asked, are you ready to go get help? He said yes. He packed a duffel bag full of cartons of cigarettes. And finally, I called my mom at the time, and I said, what do I do? And she said, take him to the closest emergency room. And he went through withdrawals in the emergency room, and then we got him into what was then DePaul on about 20th and Layton in Milwaukee, and this was him at DePaul, and you can see how very skinny he was. He had withered away to about 130 pounds at that time, and was not doing, I have videos of him and everything, not doing good. Went from DePaul because he smoked, went into nursing homes in not so good areas in the inner city of Milwaukee. And from then, he would leave the nursing home, walk around, digging in garbage cans in the hood, to look for half-empty beer cans. He would drink it. He would stand on the corner, panhandle, just so he could go into the liquor store and get any kind of alcohol he could get his hands on. And then they realized they couldn't control him because he would get out, jump into a cab, and go to different bars and things like that where they knew him and serve him. And it just ended up being all encompassing. My dad eventually was put into a locked unit, I think on the 3rd floor of that same nursing home. He would go into different people's rooms. He would harass people, abuse people, cause damage to their personal affects, and eventually was moved to another nursing home off of Good Hope, was in a locked facility, a locked ward, and then they had to medicate him to try to control him. When I showed up, um, again, I walked into that nursing home room. The nursing assistant had him completely unclothed and was washing him up, but he looked skeletal like a Holocaust survivor. Eventually, he moved on to. I said to my sister, he's comatose. He can't even get up and feed himself. So we took him out of that nursing home into. We got him into an ER, into a hospital to withdraw him off of all of his meds, and eventually he snapped out of it and came back to life. What has alcoholism done? How has it affected me? It stole my dad. It stole my childhood. Um, I became the parent. He became the child. It is one of the nastiest situations I have ever been involved with. My dad was a beloved firefighter. Um, Everybody loved my dad, including my mom's family. Everybody loved my dad. It stole a majority of his life when he was drinking. There were times he chose alcohol over being present for us kids, and I know why he drank. Like I said, his childhood was not the easiest. He had seen some very, very, very terrible things, and so all I know is that if I can tell someone, anyone, you can't. I could say, oh, it never happened to me if I started to drink and I became dependent on alcohol and started to utilize it to numb my pain instead of just having a drink to relax with friends, etc., even if with your spouse or partner. Um, when you start using alcohol or other substances to numb the pain and you're not dealing with past traumas, it can become a problem. So that's when you know you should really keep an eye on it. So I just wanted to share that. I'll get into more of it at another time, but that's the meat and potatoes of it. Short synopsis. I'll talk more about what I did, um, how Al Anon saved my life, and eventually how the relationship with my dad and I turned out. So I'll be back. Bye bye.